with your only Brewers Daily podcast. Uh, so 5 a.m. Central Standard Time is our upload time every day. We are working on the show, guys, working to constantly improve. We are now on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and Rumble. Go over to the Rumble channel. We're going to have longer form videos coming to Rumble. You're going to get a little extra half an hour. And that's really going to matter once the season starts coming. Right now, there's not a ton of extra content to produce and to put out. I also am working on getting more access, getting more people. I've made some friends along the way. This podcast has made some friends. So that being said, we are doing our best. I did have a complaint about audio. Let me know how you think the audio is on this. I may have to monkey with it in post, but we'll see. So if this is weak audio, I apologize. It was turned down for whatever reason, and I haven't been able to get quite to the right spot. So I apologize. That being said, let's get into what today's content is. So in today's episode, we are going to talk about today's spring training game. We are going to talk about the Brewers news. We're going to talk about some things over at Brewers Fanatics, some of the stories around MLB, and then we're going to wrap any big news around the league. But we also have the juicy topic of today's video. Today we are going to talk about the WBC and its importance to overall baseball. And we're going to finish the episode with that. So if you don't want to hear any of the other stuff and you just want to go to that, it's going to be at the end of the video. I'll try to put a chapter in. Depends. Sometimes when it goes late, I just don't have time to get those chapters in. So look forward towards the end of the episode, though, if you're looking specifically for that, because that's going to be, I think, a huge portion of what we have going forward. So today, the Brewers played. I forgot to mention, if you want to support us, go over to patreon.com/MillerParkMinute. You can support, get exclusive access, content, kind of come behind the scenes with me a little bit. And we have a SeatGeek code. If you're buying tickets or in the market for tickets and you're using SeatGeek, use the code MillerParkMinute. Save yourself $20 off. Why not? So we're talking about today's game. And I think one of the big things here that is important is, we're going to bring it up. So right now, the Brewers are playing spring training games. This doesn't really matter per se as much, but the big piece of this is getting to see these guys. And we're going to talk more later in the episode of what spring training versus a WBC means and kind of those aspects of the game. But right now, let's break down the game and talk about it. So Brewers won 4-2 against the Padres. Padres are 11-14, Brewers are 11-13, so not much but a game between them. We had Hobie Milner with the win, who is currently pitching to a 4.26 ERA. Mindorf got the save. He's got a 0 ERA. Padres had 2 runs on 11 hits. Brewers had 4 on 8. 1 error per team. So if we switch over to the Brewers, you see Yelly got an RBI today. Frelick got in after Yelly, below Yelly. Frelick did not have any hits today. Vamas went 1 for 4. Then Winker was in. Winker did not get any hits. He walked twice, though. Urias, in his return from WBC, did not have an official at bat. They did get an RBI, so he must have Toro, no hits. Tellez, no hits. Caratini hit a home run today. Anderson, nothing. I mean, it wasn't a big hit game, so not a lot across the board. But the key things is that homer for Caratini was a leadoff homer, just sweet swing. This was a Bally Sports game. We did get to see our friend of the show, Tim Dillard, was back. And it's kind of funny. If you listen to the Brewers podcast that they do, Brewers Unfiltered, I highly recommend it. It's hosted by Sophia, Adam McCalvey, and Tim Dillard are on the show, and they talk Brewers baseball. And it's really good. Yeah, see, 0 for 0, but he had 3 walks and an RBI. So that's good. But we did get to see Gus Varland for a full scoreless inning, striking out 3. Milner did allow 2 hits. He struck out 1. Guerra got in there, 2 hits, but he did strike out 1. Wilson, 4 hits. He did allow 1 earned run. He struck out 1. Uribe, no hits. He did walk somebody, though. Robinson, no hits. Yeager, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 strikeout. And Mittendorf, 1 strikeout. So time of today's game, 2 hours and 34 minutes. It's kind of the sweet spot for these spring training games at this point. Yelly did have an RBI single. Oop, it's going to play a video.
Think you'll beat me in So Rare this season?
Bro, you remember I ran the leaderboard last year, right?
Check out these prospects.
I traded you a starting pitcher for an outfielder.
Yeah,
Or Julio.
Are you sure about that?
That's a big thing.
Are you trading me?
You know what, man? I'm all set.
Is again, we're playing the meaningless baseball.
Here's Gus Varland, what he did last year. Look what he's done just this spring. In 6 1/3 innings, he's only walked 1 guy and 12 strikeouts.
Anderson, Nick,
strikes out Grisham,
Mitchell.
97 that time. Look at this fastball up in the zone. Grisham not able to catch up to it. Just that quick arm action allows him to just get guys to commit on pitches up in the zone. Struck him out.
Good to have that starting to come around and seeing these lineups where you get to the point where these guys are going to start pretty cool games, especially with a week left to go. It's decision time for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's the big thing about this, where we're talking about these minor stats and this minor stuff. This is decision time. So this is the time that they are going to make the decisions for who is going to be on the opening day roster. These guys that are playing now are going to be our opening day roster. And the opening day roster is not the biggest thing in the world. Just guys that start the season with the team. There's going to be call-ups and call-downs. I mean, G-Man Choi was on the roster and then got sent down right away after hitting a walk-off home run. So that being said, I mean, the opening day roster does not mean a ton. But it'll be interesting to see. So let's kick it off in the news, guys. At least 4 Milwaukee's Brewer games will be on Apple TV Plus this season. So the first 2023 game will be Monday, May 4, 6, 8. May 12th, home game against the Kansas City Royals. June 2nd at the Cincinnati Reds. June 16th against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and June 30th against Pittsburgh as well. So those are the ones that people kind of tend to complain about. But the one cool thing with Apple is they've hired this company that's doing a newer statistics. It's something different than we've seen before. They give hit probability that adjusts in a funny way. It's kind of just an interesting math scenario. All right. So that being said, that was the first story of the day. Obviously, we all wanted to know that. How to watch. How to watch Brewers games. That's a story again. I bet I should pop my video. If you want to watch my How to Watch Brewers games in 2023, that video is on the channel. Just search How to Watch on my YouTube channel, and it'll tell you all the ways to do it for the 2023 season. And then a lot of these stories. Okay, so this one is, all the stories are pretty much the same, but there is a new one that popped up today. And this will take a few minutes and talk about it. Corbin Burnes is one of several recent players to speak publicly about the arbitration process, voicing his disappointment last month. In some aspect, the team approach to trial, Burnes now enlisted the Boras Corporation as his new representation moving forward. John Heyman of the New York Post writes via Twitter. So he's hired Boras and company. Makes sense. He's the kind of the best young pitcher of this age. He's going to try and get the most money. Is that bad for us in Milwaukee? Yes, sir, it is. And the reason that it's bad for Milwaukee is Boras clients don't typically come to Milwaukee. Boras also does not encourage his clients to extend with their teams. So either we're going to trade him or we're going to keep him and then just let him leave in free agency. I say let's use the baseball he's got left. That's me being selfish, but that's the truth of the matter. I think that's what we need to do. Asked directly last month, his relationship with the team has been damaged at all. Burnes candidly acknowledged it has been to some extent that there was really no getting around that. Given his likely price tag to the open market, the former Cy Young winner was already a long shot extension candidate for the Brewers, and the shift in representation won't change that perception. The Boras Corporation has a reputation for pushing its players to reach the open market. Though there are plenty of notable exceptions in recent years, Xander Bogaerts, Lance McCullers Jr., Jose Altuve, Steven Strasburg, Chris Paddock are all Boras clients who have signed multi-year extensions that pushed back their respective paths to free agency. The Brewers entering 2023 season intent on contending for the playoffs, and even after trading Hunter Renfroe and Colton Wong this offseason, reportedly made it clear to the clubs that the stars like Burnes, Woodruff, and Adames were unavailable. The first half will be one to watch closely. If Milwaukee falls out of contention, the trio will figure to surface in trade rumblings given their respective proximity to free agency. Each of Burnes, Woodruff, and Adames is controllable only through 2024 campaign. Ditto to Eric Lauer, Rowdy Tellez, Matt Bush, and Adrian Hauser. Milwaukee won't aggressively shop that group, but the Brewers did make a tough call by trading Josh Hader when he was a season and a half of club control remaining last summer. If nothing else, teams will try to pry some of the talent away from Milwaukee if the Brewers indeed drop out of the postseason race before this year's trade deadline. So this isn't kind of a no news is news story, but I don't foresee us dropping out. Every prediction, I watched Talking Baseball's projections today. Everybody says we're going to be in it. I don't think that there's any doubt that we're going to be in this thing, and it's going to go till the end. The NL Central always tends to go from the end till the end, even when it seems like we're out of it. We're still somehow in it. Last year is a classic example of that when we were playing horrible and we still managed to be in it. So and this writer just goes on to talk about the dilemma that with Keston Hiura and kind of finding spots for Brewers. And we already talked about that a lot, so we're not going to go too much more into detail on that. But we are going to move over to our friends at brewerfanatics.com. Brewer Fanatic is a fan-based community where people like myself, you at home, can interact, post stories, post articles. I post videos because that's how I express myself. I do not write things. I tend not to do that just because typos, and I just like to talk. I'm a talker. I have the gift of gab, so to speak. But they're a great community. I highly suggest you go over there and check them out. I do have a new video posted over there, so go swing on over and see that. They are doing positional previews right now. Matthew Trueblood is the writer of the article, so go check that out. Part 1 of Relief Pitchers is up right now. All right, going over to MLB.com stories. Same dream. Counsell on Dominican Republic visit players' roots. So basically, the story is Counsell in January did a 3-day tour of the Dominican Republic. He spent time at Freddie Peralta's boyhood home. He walked on the field where Willie Adames signed his professional contract. He marveled at Carlos Gomez's estate and met the group of prospects at the new $15 million Brewers Academy down in the Dominican. And it's mostly 16 to 17-year-old working on pursuing the dream. So that's a big thing down in Dominican. We've talked about this a lot with the World Baseball Classic, how baseball is life to those in these other countries. And that's why things like the World Baseball Classic are so much bigger in those countries than they are here. But it was really cool to see this because he even went down there, took his son with him, and they just toured, and they played a pickup game of baseball on a field. He got to go to their homes and see kind of what the players moved on from. There's a specific part in the article where it talks about Freddie Peralta's family built a beautiful home next to basically in what we would consider a very humble like shack, and they describe it pretty well in detail. And he said it talks about the drives that he took. And they just played ball. Former Brewer Carlos Villanueva is actually a special assistant, and he spent 11 seasons in big leagues, 5 with Milwaukee. He was actually down there. He helps out with that whole program, and that's just a way of bringing more Dominican ball players to the States. Kind of homegrown, producing their own. They talk about Jackson Churio, who happened to be down there. And then the other was a Joel Payamps was down there at the time. And there was one more. Abner Uribe was down there. Elvis Perguro. We saw top prospect Churio and number 8 catching prospect Jefferson Coro, I think is how it's pronounced. But he also did something that's really cool is he spoke to them in Spanish. So Counsell went out of his way to learn Spanish for this trip and to better communicate with his players because a lot of them, that's their native language. So I thought that was a kind of cool little add to this story that Counsell has learned Spanish and went out of his way to do so. So that was the big MLB story, and I picked that up and I saw that and I was like, I got to talk about this because it just shows what kind of a cool guy Counsell is, spending the most time with the club. I mean, that's what the picture was. That's kind of the featured picture from the that was on the screen before when I was talking about the box score. They're doing free games on MLB.TV. I think that's no shocker to anybody that you can watch the games for free. Let me just check on moves. Nope. Looks like we've covered all the moves. We know who's going to the minors. We're keeping up on that every day. I'm looking at that every day, just trying to tell you if there's anybody new. Yeah, no, that's all the same stuff. So let's move on out of here and talk about what's going on in the overall of baseball. Another big story, MLB.TV is airing spring training games for free. We already knew about this, or they've done this every year. Ranking the top 100 players for 2023. I think it goes without saying that Shohei Ohtani is number one. I'm just going to go to the top 10. This ranking is put out by CBS Sports. If you don't follow the CBS Sports info, they give out great info. I'm also going to give a hit on the Brewers that are in this list. I have it highlighted down here, so bear with me. So we'll go through the top 10 real quick. Shohei Ohtani for the Angels, obviously. Aaron Judge falls in. Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Juan Soto, Nolan Arenado, Jose Ramirez, Garrett Cole, Manny Machado, Sandy Alcantara. That's number 10 to 1. Corbin Burnes then falls right out of, he's basically top 15. Corbin Burnes is number 14. I'm just checking for Brewers at this point. Okay, big shout out to Verlander. He's number 25 at a million years old, 40 years old, Cy Young winner. Any other surprises? Freddie Freeman falls at number 32. I find that one interesting. Tatis, 34. Scherzer, 38. Again, very interesting. I'm just checking for Brewers, as we always do. Brandon Woodruff, number 53. That's really funny. That's irony, because his number is 53. Framber is 54, right behind Woodruff. Willie Adames, number 57 on this list. And this is by CBS Sports, top 100 players. So far, we got 3. Is that what I said? 3? Yep. Spencer Strider, number 71. A lot of these guys are Team USA guys, or guys that played in the WBC. So, I mean, we did have some top players. One of the big things they said about that WBC was that not all the starting pitchers were the top starting pitchers that could have. Hunter Green from the Reds is still on here at number 93. And then we round out 100. Dansby is 99, and Dalton Varshaw. So that's the top 100 players. We had 3. All of which are big candidates for extension at this point in time. So, next is them ranking the top 30 farm systems. So, let's go through the top 10 at least. We won't go all the way, but Baltimore ranks number 1. Dodgers hanging in there at number 2. And that's pretty crazy considering they are the Dodgers and most of their best players are on their major league roster. Arizona's number 3. Cleveland's number 4. Cincinnati's number 5. Tampa's number 6. Texas Rangers number 7. Pittsburgh's number 8. St. Louis number 9. Washington number 10. Okay, so the out of the top 10, there's 2 things I see here with having the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals on there, that just proves the strength of where their farm systems are and what they can do with the guys that they have. Because you would expect the perennial losers, so to speak, the guys who lose a lot, the Pirates who fall in dead last, or the Nats who fall in dead last. Even the Mets are ranked at number 11. The Yankees number 13. Milwaukee Brewers are in at number 15. And we're going to have some graduates there. So Sal Frelick, Joey Weimer, those guys are going to be graduating out of prospect status at some point. So that's pretty much it around the major leagues. So that's covering the major league news. Now we've covered the game, the major league news, we covered Brew Fanatic, we covered our news. We're going to talk about the WBC, and this is just going to be something that I feel, and I'm going to open this question up, I guess, to everyone. So one of the big criticisms of the WBC, and albeit I understand where people are coming from, but I think this is great for the game of baseball. So there's a lot of anger around the fact that Edwin Diaz got hurt. Jose Altuve got hurt. Now, considering the number of players that played in this thing, the number of guys that were in this, and the number of games, for two big injuries to happen that affect the major league season, that's really not all that bad. $100 million closer getting hurt is kind of detrimental to a team. But I think about the growth of the game. I'm going to reference this. I don't have the exact link or the name. I think David Knows Nothing About Baseball or something. It's a YouTube channel. Talked about the viewership in just Japan. 40 million of their households watched those games. Now, Japan's team was absolutely unbelievable, and that's why they won this whole thing. That's why they won, because they were unbelievable. They have an amazing squad. And there's so much talent coming out of Japan right now and they roll it all out. They rolled it all out, and it was great. The U.S. didn't take it that seriously because we considered exhibition games. How dare they spoil our spring training with these exhibition games? That's not what the players are saying. If you talked to Willie Adames, if you talked to Browdy Tellez, if you talked to Luis Urias, to even Devin Williams, they're going to say they played baseball at the highest level and got themselves more ready. And watch what those four guys in particular, you count Sal Frelick and Abraham Toro too. They didn't play deep into the tournament, but they did get the experience of the tournament, which is a higher level of competition than playing in a spring training game against the Padres today. But these guys played at such a high level. That moment when Luis Urias hit that 3-run homer in the game against, I think that was Monday night's game. Yeah, Monday night's game against Japan. No better moment, no higher. And he said that today in the game. Sophia interviewed him, asked him about his experience, and he said, "There's no better moment than that home run. That's the best home run I've hit in my career." Now, he hasn't hit a home run in a World Series, but for a guy like Luis Urias, maybe he won't play in one. Who knows? And this is his opportunity. This is opportunity for all of these players. And it's a shame that the U.S. did not put better pitchers in. I mean, we've got Corbin Burnes and Brandon Woodruff that are on our roster that are better pitchers than some of the guys that we ran out there. For the U.S. team. And, Kershaw, insurance reasons, whatever, that's their backup. Why am I being passionate about this? Because this is for the greater good, the betterment of our game. in countries, and Willie Adames actually said this when he came back from the Classic. In countries like in the United States or the UK and, British and European countries, soccer is really big. Football in the United States, basketball. But in the Dominican, Mexico, Cuba, Puerto Rico, baseball is what they live for. Baseball is the game that they want to play. Japan, Korea, even China. The baseball game is so important. They had almost 50 million households watching these games in the pool play before it even got to the later rounds. That game that we watched on Tuesday night, that USA versus Japan, had more watchers than the Super Bowl because of the international market. Now you imagine you incorporate, in the case of Shohei Ohtani, if his team gets to any kind of playoff or championship level, can you imagine the watchers? Or even Kadura, I believe is his name, is with Boston. If Boston does something this season, their viewerships could be up just by having them. So that's good for the game because it brings more money, more eyes to the product that we watch, to the MLB, right there. There. And that's what we want. We want more eyes on our sport because it means more money. And it means our franchises get more money. And that's very key in a sport right now that is trying to find its way and changing rules. You notice there was no pitch clock. No wide. I think they had the bases. But there was none of those ticky-tacky little rules that they're trying to add. Those were long games, and people held on and watched them. They sold more than 1 million tickets to the early rounds, which is more than they've ever sold. So my summation, guys, the WBC is good for baseball. It's great that Japan won it because now they've got Shohei Ohtani. They've got that Kadura guy. Apologize, I can't remember his name. That phenom that throws 102 miles an hour. That's probably going to end up being a major leaguer here soon. Those guys are going to come here, and it's going to broaden our game and make it even better than it already is. So why can't we take it serious? Why can't the U.S. put serious guys? Max Scherzer, Corbin Burnes, some of the guys are Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, and they all showed out. They showed up and showed out for their countries. Not us. It's just sad. Unfortunately, guys, it's just sad. But like I said, guys, that's all I got tonight. I'm gonna try and bring you more inside the pitching lab tomorrow. I'm gonna talk more about the pitching lab. And then in the next week, we're gonna kind of day by day break down a roster and a team in the division. So we're going to go through the Cubs, the Cards, Pittsburgh. We're going to go through them all. We're going to talk about them all. And just kind of break down. We're going to do some more breakdowns. We're going to have a season opener special airing the day before the season starts. And basically what that's going to be is we're going to get some people around the vlogosphere, around the internet, to come on or send in video with their thoughts and opinions. So, that being said, that is all I got, guys. We are so close, guys. So close. 6 days. 6 days away from Brewers baseball. It's here. It is here, finally. So, as always, guys, remember to like, rate, review. We really appreciate it. We got some great reviews on the channel so far, and I really appreciate each and every one of you for sticking with me through this whole thing and being here to watch this show and support the show. You guys have a great rest of your night, day, whenever you're watching, whatever time of day this you're watching. I want it to be great. Make it great. Have fun. As always, go Brewers, and thank you for watching the Miller Park Minute.
Thank you for watching the Miller Park Minute. Go Brewers.